Hi everyone. Welcome to the special planning meeting today. The first order of business that we'll have is to appoint a chair, and it's just to see if we've got any nominations.
Yes, in normal practice, in normal planning committees, we cooperate with each other and there is a rotation, so I would nominate Councillor Edlin.
Happy with that.
And do you accept?
Thank you, I do, and appreciate the confidence.
Much to your relief.
Oh,
He's just moving over.
shall I? Well, I need to. I'll be able to see the.
No,
plan.
you're better over there.
I mean, do I need to have my computer with me?
Yeah,
Probably.
just take what you need. There's plenty of time.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the meeting of the Planning Applications Committee. The meeting is being recorded, and a copy of this recording will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel following the meeting. My name is Councillor Paul Edlin, and today I am the chair of the Planning Applications Committee. Can I introduce the elected members? In front of me and to my left is Provost Mary Montague, and sitting next to him on her left, is Councillor Andrew Morrison. And I'll now introduce the officers who are supporting us today. From the Council's Planning Department, the officers present are, I think, on my far left, Miss Fiona Morrison and Mr. Derek Scott, and Michelle McGuckin is the Head of Planning, is that?
Chief Planner.
Chief Planner. On my right is Nicola McElhenney, who is Senior Solicitor, and on my far right is Leslie Ann Burns, who is a clerk to the committee. Okay. Can I have apologies for absence, please?
I've received apologies from Councillor Annette Ireland and Councillor Jim McLean.
Fine. Okay. Are there any declarations of interest today, please? Right, business to consider today. The Planning Applications Committee has been asked to consider one item of business today as follows. Item 3, application for planning permission, erection of residential development comprising 26 flats in 2 blocks with car parking, landscaping and other associated works. Amended plans received, reference number 2024/0610/TP, site of former Mearns Primary School, School Road, Newton Mearns, East Renfrewshire. Do we have sufficient information to determine the application, members? Provost?
So far, the discussion will help inform our decision.
But do you have enough to start the discussion?
So far.
Yes, okay. Oh, sorry. Should be, and I agree with that. So we're agreed we're going to discuss it. Can I invite Mr. Derek Scott to outline the proposal and provide clarification on any questions that members may have on the matter?
Thank you, Chair. This is a planning application 2024-0610 for the erection of 26 flatted dwellings and 2 four-storey blocks, including car parking, landscaping and associated works. The site lies within the Newton Mearns Town Centre as defined within adopted LDP2. Page 6 of the paper sets out the consultation responses. They've been received from Glasgow Airport, National Air Traffic Services, Environmental Health, the Road Service, the Strategy Service, Scottish Water and Mearns East Community Council. With the exception of the Community Council, there are no objections from consultees, subject to various conditions. The Community Council objects on the grounds of access for emergency vehicles, parking and public road safety. And Scottish Water, whilst offering no objection, state that they are unable to reserve capacity at Milngavie Treatment Works and advise the applicant will have to apply separately to connect to their infrastructure. Pages 6 and 7 sets out the site history, which includes a number of planning applications relating to the use of the site as a car park. On page 26 summarises the representations. Now, the report of handling states that 23 have been received since the report was prepared. A further representation has been received, and also 2 representations indicating a neutral stance, bringing the total to 26. That's 23 objections, 1 support and 2 neutral. And the points are summarised on page 7. The most common issues raised are overdevelopment of the site, overshadowing, loss of daylight, overlooking, density and height of the buildings, impact on visual amenity, inadequate car parking, and the location of bin stores and public road safety. The following supporting reports have been submitted in support of the application: a design and access statement, a noise impact assessment, and a site investigation report. This is a local application under the Hierarchy of Development Regulations 2009, and it is before the committee because more than 10 objections have been received. The application site is a former overflow car park associated with the Mearns with the Avenue Shopping Centre and lies within the Newton Mearns Town Centre. The site is not an allocated housing site in the local plan. It's generally flat and sits to the west of the shopping centre. There are flatted dwellings to the east of the site that extend to 3 and 4 storeys in height. Planning permission is sought for the erection of 26 flatted dwellings, car parking, landscaping and associated works. The dwellings are proposed to be provided in 2 blocks, each of 4 storeys in height. Each block will be externally finished with stone, render and composite cladding. The applicant has indicated the properties will be marketed to the over 55s and has agreed to enter into a legal agreement to control occupancy to those aged 55 and over, and that no children will reside in these units. Pages 9 and 11 of your papers contain an assessment of the proposal against the relevant policies in the National Planning Framework 4 and adopted East Renfrewshire Local Development Plan 2. Having regard to the proposed development, the site, the development plan and the applicant's supporting statements, the main determining issues are the principle of the development at this location, the impact on character and visual amenity, the impact on residential amenity, open space provision, public road safety, noise impact and the provision of affordable housing and developer contributions. In terms of the principle, the site lies within the Newton Mearns Town Centre, which is a highly accessible and well-connected location. It lies on an area of previously developed ground that the applicant has indicated is now surplus to requirements insofar as its previous use is concerned. Given the site's sustainable town centre location, the principle of this particular development is accepted at this site. In terms of the impact on the character of the area, it's noted in page 10 of the papers that the overall design of the development is acceptable. Albeit sitting on a slightly higher platform, The flatted form of 4 stories is in keeping with the existing built form at Scholars Court. Given the design and layout of the proposed development, its position to the west and northwest of the nearest residential development, and its orientation in relation to the adjacent flatted properties, it would not give rise to significant additional overlooking, overshadowing, or loss of daylight. The proposed development is for more than 4 residential properties, and as such is subject to affordable housing contributions and developer contributions. The applicant has agreed to the payment of a community sum towards the provision of off-site affordable housing. Due to pressure on the education estate within East Renfrewshire, this would have to be required. This would be a restriction in occupation to this site until after 2031. The applicant has advised they don't wish to be subject to such a restriction and have instead agreed to a restriction in the age of the occupiers and that no children will reside there. The applicant has agreed to enter into a legal agreement should permission be granted to ensure the payment of a community sum and the occupancy restriction referred to above. Page 12 provides comments on the points of representation not addressed under the policy assessment, and again on page 12 is a conclusion that the application generally complies with the development plan and recommends that it be approved subject to the conclusion of the legal agreement and to the conditions set out on pages 13 to 15. On those conditions, there is a typing error in condition 16. It should refer to southeast and not southwest. And we also recommend a further condition, condition 19, the standard condition to deal with any contamination which may be present on the site. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've just lost the page on my computer, so I'll have to rely on the screens up there. Anyway, I think we'll move on to comments and questions by members. Councillor Morrison.
That's great, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Scott. I would like to ask, looking at the floor plan here, and I should say that I'm familiar with the geography here as a local resident myself and as a ward councillor. Considering the developer of what Scholars Court was also West Point, and the applicant here is West Point, why have they not continued the road on from Scholars Court rather than taking it in through what's essentially the backyard of the Avenue Shopping Centre, which, if people are familiar with the location, it's not particularly great for access. It just seems anomalous to me.
Thank you. We have to assess the application before us. That'll be a matter for the applicant when they design their scheme as to how they propose to access it. They may have thought about that particular proposal option, but they've elected to come through School Road, and that's what we have to assess before us.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. In terms of the frontage outside, I appreciate this is a subjective matter, but in looking at this, the first thing that crossed my mind was, is this backland development? Given the fact that you're essentially entering a small private road, it's a non-adopted road, which leads to the goods yard for the various retailers at the Avenue Shopping Centre. It seems a little out of keeping with the normal style of residential development that we see before us, and indeed already exists within the area. I was wondering if one of the planning officers could give us some narrative around backland development considerations, and if this indeed would be considered backland development. Thank you.
Thank you. This would not be backland development. Backland development tends to be if you have a house, say with a rear access, and you wanted to subdivide and put a property to the back of the house. Looking at this proposal, it would have road frontages. It's accessed via the School Road. So this would not be backland development in the sense of the word, no.
Okay. I'd like to offer colleagues a slot for questions if they have any questions at all.
Thank you. Thank you. You've completed your questions, Councillor?
I may have other questions, but I think other colleagues should have the
absolutely.
opportunity.
Okay, Provost.
Thank you very much. I'm interested in the aspect of overlooking, given that there are verandas there, and sometimes it's the feeling of being overlooked because there are such verandas there. So it mentions screening. How would that work? Do the verandas themselves overlook straight on to the houses that are there already? And how is it the side of it would be screened? So I didn't see a photograph of a veranda itself. I saw it on the building, but I wasn't sure which way do the verandas face. So if you could address that aspect of overlooking and the mitigation.
Yes, certainly. The verandas or balconies are, I don't know if you can see my mouse, are here and here. Sorry, here and here. Insofar as they would affect adjacent properties. Now, on this veranda here, which is the one in Block 2 to the north, you'll see there is a proposal for a privacy screen to be provided to the side. So it's looking down over the development, and any views into the closest property would be mitigated by the screen. These verandas here are sufficiently far away from the adjacent property, and they don't give rise to direct overlooking. By the time you get to these blocks here in Scholars Court, you're a fair distance away. I don't know if that clarifies your concern. Furthermore, I would say that there are windows on Block 2 which face towards the adjacent blocks on Scholars Court. Those windows serve bathrooms, and they will be opaque glazed. And over above that, they don't actually. There's no direct facing there at angles, but they'll be opaque glazed.
What's the material? What's the nature of the screening? What would it look like? What's it made of?
Would be there's a condition on that it's provided that we get details of it, and then we'll be assessing that once we get the details. Yeah, condition 16.
Okay, so it'll definitely be blocked off.
Oh yes, it'll be opaque.
Okay, that's fine.
Councillor Morrison, do you want to come back at this point?
Yes, I must say I'm still quite concerned about the vehicular access to this, because the existing road is single track in parts, and I know it does say in the report of handling that there are proposals that this would be widened. It is essentially going to be a shared space with a significant number of HGVs. At the moment, it's simply an access road to access the car park, and indeed, when this was the long stay car park of the Avenue Shopping Centre, it was very infrequently used, given the fact that it's so occluded and out of the way. So I must admit, I do still have concerns about that, particularly taking conjunction with the fact that I don't believe this location was included in our local development plan either. So, yeah, is there any further assurance that can be offered at this stage beyond what is stated here, that the developer intends to expand the road? Because, as I understand it, the road is not adopted by the council, it's a private road. Thank you.
Yes, the proposals show the road is being widened, and there will be an expectation, there will be a requirement that takes place.
I have no further questions, Chair.
Okay. Provost, do you want to come back at this point? You do. Okay.
Just following on from my colleague's point, is the road up to the standard that it's adopted, or will it be required to be up to a standard that it is adopted?
The Road Service have confirmed they won't adopt a road, it will be privately maintained. They won't adopt it, so it won't be adopted.
And the other thing I'd like to ask about, has the frequency of HGVs, if it's HGVs or delivery lorries, has that been monitored? Has that been assessed as part of your review of this application?
We have not monitored HGV movements, no. We rely on our roads colleagues. They are main consultee on road safety issues, and they've come back and advised no objection. But no, we haven't monitored or counted movements, no.
The roads department have looked at this and they've come back with no objection.
They've assessed the proposal. I don't know if they've counted movements, but they've assessed it and they've reported to us, so they've got no objection to it, and they've given us some conditions to attach to any consent granted.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Morrison, do you want another chance to speak? No?
No, I don't actually have any further questions. I've listened to what colleagues have said, and I think that for me there are sufficient questions over this particular development, and I find myself in agreement with the concerns articulated by the Community Council, Mearns Community Council, on the basis of access. So on that basis, I would be minded to move to reject this application on the basis it's
Could I make my comments before you move? If you don't,
sure,
if
just invited me to speak
No,
again,
I just
so.
wanted to invite you to speak in case you want to say further things, and I will invite you to speak again. But I just wanted to make my comments before we reach the concluding phase. I agree with what my colleagues have said, and in relation to the privacy issue with Scholars Court, Mr. Scott, could you tell us the distance from Scholars Court buildings where the flats are to the proposed windows of the new build? Because there is a statutory amount of distance that's required, isn't there? And does it meet that distance, or is it beyond that?
My colleague Fiona will answer that question.
From Block 2 to Scholars Court, there is an excess of just over 13 metres, and from Block 1 to the block in Scholars Court, there is an excess of 18 metres.
What is the required distance normally, or the statutory distance? I don't know which it is.
There's no statutory distance, but it's a rule of thumb that the 18 metres direct window to window overlooking, beyond that's acceptable. In this case, we have windows that are at an angle to each other, so it's not direct. And also at the closest point in Block 2, we're looking at opaque glazing on bathroom windows and a privacy screen on the balconies.
So it does sound pretty close to me. I don't know if what my colleagues think about that.
I would like to move, Chair, that the application be refused.
Not at that stage, Andrew.
My question was about the distance between the privacy issue. I was asking you a question about what you thought about the privacy issue, when it would appear that the distance is less than the normal distance from what you've said, although you said that the windows are angled.
The distance, as explained by Fiona, was in excess of 13 metres, which would be less than the usual desired distance of 18 metres. But that 18 metres is for direct overlooking, where you've got windows that are directly facing. In this case, they're angled, and there's opaque glazing on the windows and on the screens for the balconies.
I'm not convinced by what you've just said there, but I have to say that I am swayed by the arguments that my colleagues have made today. Councillor,
Yes.
can I let Province?
Very much. I feel that the questions I've raised have been answered. You know, that there isn't any concern from the roads department. The road will be widened, and also the overlooking, it's to the side and there's opaque, so there's no overlooking, so that answers that. I was trying to get the comment from the Community Council. I wonder if you could remind us what that is. I couldn't manage to get it, which is what count my colleague is basing on his opinion on this. I wonder if you could remind us what the Community Council actually did say. Thank you.
We'll try and get you the wording for it, but in summary, it was the objective on grounds of access for emergency vehicles, parking and public road safety. I think Fiona's looking for the actual wording. If you wanted to hear what they said, maybe
if you could just go through each of those and respond to them, please.
Okay.
As far as emergency vehicles is concerned, as far as parking is, could you just answer those points, please?
In terms of emergency vehicles parking and road safety, they're really covered in the roads response when they say they've got no objection. So obviously the road service, when they look at a planning application, they bear in mind that the site has to be serviced by HGVs for deliveries and things, as well as fire engines, and they bear that in mind when they give us their comments. So I'm assured by their comments that there is no issue in terms of access for fire engines or ambulances. And the same would go for the parking issue raised by the Community Council and the road safety aspect as well. All those issues are covered in the roads response, perhaps not by name, but they are assessed when the roads service gives us comments.
I don't know what they mean by parking either. What do they mean? Or can you not say what they mean? You don't know what they mean, it's just the parking?
No, I suspect, but given it's a town centre location, the road service have reduced the amount of parking they would require for the site.
Thank you. I'm assured by that response. Thank you. I don't have any problems with this application.
I have to say that I know the area well, and there's already parking issues in that, round by that side. Councillor Morrison, do you wish to move the motion now,
I wish to move the motion, yes. Like to make a second attempt at that, please. I believe that this application is contrary to policy D1, and I'd like to specify the specific section, so please bear with me. I believe it's contrary to paragraph 1 of policy D1, and that the development should not result in a significant loss of character or amenity to the surrounding area. Paragraph 2, that the proposal should be appropriate to location, and in keeping with the buildings in the locality, considering the buildings in the locality are commercial in nature, not residential. Paragraph 4, a well-defined structure of streets, public spaces and buildings. As alluded to in my comments earlier, that this is basically the entrance to a service yard of a retail park, a retail centre. Paragraph 8, paragraph 10, with regards safe and functional pedestrian, cycle and vehicular access, I believe it's deficient in that regard. Paragraph 15, with respect to the amenity of residents within the existing properties in the locale. And finally 17, with respect to the amenity of residents, occupants and users of new and existing buildings. Obviously these are new buildings. With respect to noise, dust, pollution, I should say that there are complaints from residents already with respect to HGV movements in the goods yard, which is from the residents of Scholars Court, and this application would be even closer to said yard. So I believe in those respects this application is deficient. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish to second that motion. Provost, did you wish to speak?
I don't agree. I would support the recommendations to grant this application as outlined in the paper. I feel the problems have been addressed. Thank you.
Posing another motion then.
No, I'm just not supporting the motion as seconded. So
The motion is carried by, I presume. The motion is carried.
It's just to clarify that the motion will be carried, and that I'll put in the minute about you not agreeing.
Okay, I think that concludes the business for today. Thank you very much, officials and colleagues.